I got power, love, and a sound mind, and also you do too. You don't have these labels that people say about you. You don't got ADHD. Back in the day, man, that word wasn't even around. I was born in the 60s, man. 61. Put it together, you got the 7, the number of perfection. Hell, back in my day, if you would have told, if somebody doctor would have told my parents, your child's got bipolar, your child's got ADHD, they would be getting an A for ass. D would be ass ass whipping. Anyway, so here's what I'm saying. Back in the day, if I would have been called bipolar, my parents would have been saying, man, you got 2 personalities. Now you're bipolar, you got 2 personalities. So you better get them 2 personalities back there and get your ass back there and get that room cleaned even faster now since you're labeled bipolar. You got 2 of you now. And then they say schizophrenic. Then I'm told, oh my God, now there's like 7 motherfuckers and they're all coming out at once. And they're saying, get busy and I'll beat your ass with each one of you. All 7 people of you. So that's my world. There weren't those labels and words. If Dad knew, hey man, that word says, oh, there's 2 of you. Yeah, I was raised, there's 2 of you now. Both of you get in there and read that. However many people are in there. Anyway, what's going on too is so cool. I do have a lot of different personalities and characters in me that have been in others. There's like 27 personalities in me, and they all got a purpose and a message. I've got part of me that's completely profound and can get attention just by doing sometimes what God says to do. One day he told me to get out in the street with a hula hoop because they were speeding on my street. I live right near the Speedway racetrack. It's a mile down the road, and people thought they could race on my street. And I know the officers are busy and everything, and I got out there in the street, and I knew I had the power. And I was standing right in the middle of the street, stopping traffic that were running the stop signs. I was right there at the stop sign. And, stood in the road. If someone was 130, they were going to have to hit me first. Or else, whatever, it was their choice. I wasn't going to move. One truck got up so close to me, and I just stood there fearless. And I didn't know his language. And and then I was angry because he was challenging me, and I got up to his window. And I just told him no. And I did body language, you don't speed on this road. And I put my finger in his face, and I said, loco. And I also did the number thing, too. So the officers know me, and I think they're pretty cool. I seen one the other day in Kroger, and I don't get out a whole lot, which is a good deal. So I seen an officer in Kroger, and I said I always try to honor them. So I went up to this really, I'm sure this officer was thinking, oh my gosh, what's this little white girl getting ready to say to me? Peculiar people. And so I went up to him. I didn't know what I was going to say either. But I went up to him and I said, hey, sir. I said, I bet it takes you a while to get dressed in the morning, having to put on all that armor. You got a lot of weight on you there. And his eye, all I could see was his white eyes. And he said, ma'am, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm blessed. And he said, and he just kept giving me complete eye contact. And so I said to him, I got my armor on also. And he said, what'd you just say? And I said, I carry armor too. I have unseen armor. And he said, are you carrying a weapon? And I said, I am. And he said, then I seen concern. I'd seen him move his hand a little closer to his belt, which is where the 2 guns were, and the stick. I know all the stuff that hang down there, the handcuffs. I've experienced all those blessings, just like the people back in the day. They didn't I don't think they handcuffed Jesus. Well, they probably did, but back in the day, it was still going on. You know, I was the prisoner set free right on. Anyway, he asked me what my weapon was. I told him my weapon was a 2-edged sword. And also I got, axe. And then I got his total attention. And he looked at me and said, what are you talking about? And then I started laughing and I said, the 2-edged sword is the living word of God. And then he looked at ease. He looked more relaxed. And then about the Acts, I said there in the book of Acts, it's in the Word. It's in the New Testament. And I got that because it's a promise that I got the angels all the way, always the time. They always surround me. So I just go in India and bring humor. I was definitely puzzled and observed by basically a lot of the officers. The police station is right down the road there from my house, and we live in all our properties protected by angels, and then officers have been very kind to me. They quit trying to watch me so closely. They even, when I was doing that, told me to get out of the road and stop. And I said, we need a stop sign. I don't want to see a child get killed. I've seen that. I don't want to see it again. And but there's a lot involved in that. They got one up. And then also when I was trying to avoid situations of strife, because people will deal with that in their home, not just me. Everybody else has that too, because they want to be right about something, or it's either arrogance or being rude. But anyway, when you're trying to deal with the spirit of strife, the best way to do that is to not do it. Just walk away and don't talk to anybody that ain't going to be heard or listened to.